Oh, here.
No, okay.
Hold on. Hold on. Oh, wait, I mean, I'll wait till we get it started.
So I want to go to advanced. And then I go to PowerPoint as virtual background.
Yeah.
Here I don't have to do share sound or optimize. I can just share.
Correct.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. So. You need to be sharing it. You know, resize that. Maybe these two, right?
Bigger?
You don't need to see me.
How do I go through the slides? How do I get through the slides?
I don't know. It seems to be related to my computer. Yeah. You can- that little arrow right there.
I know, but it doesn't
Oh.
go to.
Second.
It did.
Some kind of other mode. Okay. Why? You were in the select mode.
Look at that.
Windows are closed. Just
Don't
do anything. Just no, they're not. Let's close that, please. Right, upper right, just that X.
this, right?
No. Not that one there, that one.
I don't know why all those are open.
Neither, but they're slowing down your computer and taking up memory. It's probably not a big deal in this case, but close that one too.
Looks great,
It's already in.
Good.
So that's the only thing that's open. Let me make sure it's, and it is set, so you just hit the play button at the bottom left.
With the video?
The video will start when you hit that play button. That's the video.
Okay.
You can close
How do I get to the video?
that. I'll be here for that part. You're gonna have to stop and share and then reshare.
I'll stop sharing up here.
You stop, yes, you stop sharing up there when you get to the slide that has the video link on it.
And then
Then I'll come over here and switch over. You're gonna reshare with the other window.
Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well. As you said in your notes, it's just a unbelievable time we're going through these last couple days, huh?
Yeah. What were you doing?
Well, you remember I'm on the park board in Glenview. I was lined up to lead the parade. We were at the front of the line because Glenview's parade is a little bit later than Highland Park's. Ours kicks off at 11:15. So we were all ready to go. The Grand Marshal we had was the head of Great Lakes Naval Training Center. And so I was with him at the front of the parade, kind of thanking him for being here. I was going to be riding a golf scooter with golf clubs. And so I was all teed up on that. And then we get this word, something's happened. We have to find out what's going on. And then within 15 minutes, the decision was made, we're canceling the parade. And 2 hours later, we decided to cancel the fireworks for the night. So it was just all that happening on top of us. So it was a terrible day.
I was driving home from up north in Wisconsin, and I didn't find out until I was passing Milwaukee at about 3 o'clock. But when I finally got into an NPR station, but and then I heard, and I was like, oh, where did that happen? But I can't imagine when everything was being canceled. I mean, with so many people in so many towns. I mean, here Evanston, same thing.
Right.
Everybody lined up ready to march, kids, grandmas, everybody. How do you just shut that down when it's
Oh, it's just so sad. You heard there was a seventh fatality just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I just saw.
So,
yeah, and 46 injuries.
oh. Here's Michael joining us as well. Hello, Michael. And Bibi's here too. Hi, Bibi.
Hola, Bibi.
Hello. Hi, Jody. Hi,
How are you
Dan.
doing?
Fine. I just arrived from Colombia.
Oh, you just landed?
Took a shower and I was running.
Oh my goodness. What were you doing there?
I just was visiting my family. So it was a very quick visit, 5 days, and then I was coming back. I had a ticket that I needed to use before. So
Your family's well?
yes, they are doing fine. Thanks. Yes, they are doing fine. So yes, only yes, I have to. My first flight was at midnight, and I stopped in New York for 6 hours, and then New York to here. But yeah.
Sorry, I picked up that call because I thought it might be somebody needing help getting their connection, but it was just a salesperson. So I said no.
Okay. I like your background, Jody.
So since I don't have an interpreter, I put the text in Spanish, and then my IT guru, who's sitting here over my shoulder, set this up. So I'll be going through the slides that'll have the text in Spanish while I speak in English.
Nice.
We'll
So
see.
somebody taught me this last year, and I started using it on calls, and it's really cool. It's really helpful, but then I stopped using it. So I forgot about how to do it. So I'm glad I looked it up. But people that use this love this.
Yeah, well, we'll see if like I said, my colleague is right here in case I lose my way.
Okay.
Y no tienes lugar de quién va a ir. Ya no está, ¿verdad?
So, Fabiola, ¿de dónde es
Natalie's
Fabiola?
here too, and Michael, and Maria Eugenia.
Hola, hello, buenas tardes. Hello, how are you?
Buenas tardes, everyone.
Buenas tardes.
Sí, o sea, yo sé que oiga, voy a hacer eso, voy a buscar cuando le explico, oiga, no, no, estoy aquí en el trabajo, es que la mañana estoy, no me olvida nada, la mañana es la semana.
Hi Natalie, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Good.
I think this is a really good plan that you have for your presentation.
We'll see. We'll see if it works. And then there'll be another option when we can't get interpretation.
Mhm.
It's still a little early. We'll give people another 5 minutes, I guess. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll give just a couple more minutes. I think we'll go ahead and get started in a few minutes. I don't actually see any Spanish speakers on, but some may join us. In any case, no one needs to worry about choosing the interpretation option today. We're not going to have simultaneous interpretation. Instead, in case any Spanish speaking listeners join us, we will have background translation in Spanish for those who require it. And most of today's presentation will be a documentary that we're sharing, which is primarily in English, although it does have some segments where it's the original in Spanish with subtitles. So don't have to worry about selecting the interpretation option. And I think to respect those who are on, should we go ahead and get started? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Jody, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Jody. I think most of you know me. I work with Solidarity Bridge, based in nonprofit based in Evanston, Illinois. And I am the director of 3 of our surgical programs, general surgery, gynecology, and our pacemaker implant program, which is part of our heart surgery program. And just as a brief introduction to Solidarity Bridge, per our vision statement, Solidarity Bridge seeks a just, compassionate, and interdependent world in which the health needs of those who are most vulnerable are prioritized, and in which health professionals have the resources they need to serve their communities. That is our North Star, which I think is pretty general to all of our G4 Alliance colleagues. And our particular mission towards that vision is to work in a spirit of solidarity, aligning ourselves with Bolivian and Paraguayan communities to increase access to safe surgery and other essential health care. As I've mentioned, Solidarity Bridge, the focus of our work is around 4 surgical programs. Today, we're going to talk about our general surgery program, but we also have a neurosurgery program, heart surgery program, which has both pacemaker implant element and heart surgery. Until now, mostly pediatric heart surgery, though we're expanding more and more into young adult and adult heart surgery. And we have a gynecologic surgery program. And as I said, the focus of today is an introduction to our general surgery program. And we're doing it through sharing a documentary that was produced in 2000, or it was filmed in 2017, a documentary crew that's affiliated with the Visionaries program. It's a program you can watch their shows on the PBS stations in the US. And they contacted us and wanted to make a documentary about our work. So one of their film crews accompanied one of our mission trips, a general surgery mission trip, to Cochabamba, Bolivia. And this was in March of 2017. They produced a documentary, about a 24-minute documentary that was distributed through national, throughout the country on PBS stations over the course of 2019. And you can look up and watch the documentary on their website, but we are going to show it here. We're going to take advantage of this documentary in order to introduce and to illustrate the general surgery program, especially to explain its origins in the late, about 2007, it first really began. And this documentary also explains our way of working at Solidarity Bridge in general, and our way of developing the general surgery program at that time, up until the moment that the documentary was filmed. As we'll talk about later, our program has evolved in exciting ways since then, but we think it's important to have this background. And as you're going to see, also explained in the documentary, our way of working, it's really how we live out our name, Solidarity Bridge, really emphasizing the construction of long-term and lasting relationships of mutual support, always with the goal to reinforce the capacities of our South American peers in the general surgery program, our Bolivian peers, and in some of our programs in Paraguay as well, so that they can address the needs of their communities. The documentary also introduces the mobile laparoscopic surgery units that we'll talk about later, and that will be the focus of the second part of this series, which will be on September 6th. At the time that this documentary was filmed in 2017, the mobile campaigns had been working just a few years. The first campaign was in late 2014, so you're going to see how that was started. And you're also going to learn in our documentary, you're going to meet our founder. And we also, our executive director, Ann Romberg, throughout the video also explains a little our philosophy of how we live out solidarity and about our roots. We are very much rooted in social justice teachings of the Catholic Church. That's very much our background. We don't proselytize, but that is our, those that very much define our principles, our ethics. And I just want to remember, as part of those essential principles, Solidarity Bridge welcomes the participation of, and we also address the needs and attend to anyone in need, regardless of religion or race or ethnicity or sexual orientation or gender or age. So you will see a lot of reference to our Catholic roots in the documentary, but we, not all of us who work in Solidarity Bridge even are Catholic. It's a very open and inclusive organization. You are also going to hear, and I know this really helps ground us in everything we do. You're going to hear the stories of 3 of the patients who were treated during this particular mission trip that was followed. And you're also going to learn about some of the pathologies that we tend to see among our Bolivian patients. For example, you're going to learn a little bit about Chagas disease, which is endemic in Bolivia. A lot of our patients, especially in our pacemaker implant program and in our general surgery program, suffer Chagas disease. So the documentary lasts about 23 minutes. It is primarily in English. Most of it is not translated into Spanish, but there are several segments where you're going to hear the original Spanish and there's English subtitles. So I'm confident that those who don't speak English as their first language will be able to follow along and understand sufficiently what the beautiful visuals of the documentary. And so now I'm going to switch and share the documentary, and then afterwards we'll gather again.
Right, click that. Click share screen again. Now back to basic. That. Share. Wait, we share. You got audio and video. Can we click those 2 buttons on the bottom? Maybe not. Okay, let's do it again. Yeah, do it again. I can't share. Yeah. Click here. Now share. Yeah. Now hover the mouse over place on the screen so you can make the screen. Press the
Visionaries is proud to present its 22nd season on public television. Sometimes you read the paper and watch the news, and it seems like there's more bad news than good in the world. But you know what? It's just not true.
I at least can hold on to something, that there's something, maybe it's small, but there's something that I'm doing to make a difference.
It's just a feeling that you have. If you can help people, you have to. There's no alternative.
Every child has potential that we just can't know. And so, to my mind, that's what we're doing. We are saving potential for the future.
Solidarity Bridge. Great name. It inspires images of people coming together, working side by side, forging loyal and lasting relationships in the pursuit of a common good. This story is all of that, but it is something less and something more. We are going to follow a team of surgeons from the United States on a mission to hospitals in Bolivia. The something less is that these American teams from Solidarity Bridge are not here to perform medical miracles and then fly back home. The something more is that they make these trips to empower local doctors to better serve their own communities. And in the end, all who participate are forever changed.
The reality of Solidarity Bridge is that we are one mission in action in two geographies, Chicago and Bolivia. Our name says a lot about who we are. It says everything about who we are.
Jaime was actually here in this hospital for our first trip, 2007.
Es de mutua cooperación y ambas instituciones nos necesitamos para hacer el bien.
Solidarity is a relationship that is mutual. There is always a sense that in the encounter with the other, you have something to gain. Also, an aspect that the Catholic social teaching has highlighted is that it's an abiding commitment to the common good.
Solidarity Bridge is a surgical program to help those in need, but it's not a short-term program.
So right now, these are what we always say.
We entrench ourselves into the medical community here in Bolivia.
One of our rules really is that we don't go into the operating room without a local surgeon, because these are their patients. These aren't our patients, and it allows us to do the work, but to ensure that the patients have continuity of care, which is critical for surgeons.
So today we needed to meet with all the patients. Now all of our patients are actually pre-screened and pre-selected by the Bolivian partners.
We arrive and they have it all organized, who the patients are, all of their labs, and then our doctors sit down with them and go patient by patient.
And then working together, the U.S. missioners with the Bolivian partners, they develop the surgical plans.
Guadalupe was a patient who was having a lot of difficulty with her intestinal tract. She has Chagas disease. It's a parasite. You get a dysfunction of the nerves, so people can have problems with their colon, where the colon doesn't work very properly. So these patients have very slow bowel function. They get very distended, very bloated. Sometimes even they can't eat very well. It was affecting her nutrition, her energy level, and everything was going downhill. Our plan is to remove the remainder of her colon and take her small intestine and sew it right to a loop of intestine below, so that now she would have normal bowel movements and in turn start working and being more productive because she's young.
Esta es mi familia. Aquí yo estoy en esta foto, recién había salido ya de mi quimioterapia, ya había superado el cáncer que tenía.
Yo quiero vivir para que mis hijos vivan un poco más felices, tengan una niñez normal, lo que yo no tuve.
Carmen is a patient who had cervical cancer, I think 3 years ago, and now she has a mass in her abdomen. She's concerned that this is a recurrent cancer, but it appears to be a very classic case of an incisional hernia, so we'll be repairing that laparoscopically.
estos son mis motores de vivir.
Carmen has a hernia after her last surgery for her cervical cancer, and we're going to repair her incisional hernia laparoscopically. It is easier than open.
Afortunadamente yo creo que muchos de nosotros y personalmente yo hemos tenido la suerte de conocer a la doctora Gay Gazzett, ¿no? Porque creo que ha sido una de las pilares para que sigamos haciendo nosotros cirugía laparoscópica. Que en cada campaña que llega a ella siempre trae cosas nuevas. O sea, algunas técnicas nuevas.
Since these defects are very small, I'm not going to try to close them like we did on the other hernias. So what we'll do is we'll put a suture, a suture, suture, a suture, and maybe one here. And this one will pull straight up. And then we'll put them. These four will go, to hold it in place. So each piece of mesh that we use in a case like this can cost upwards of $1,000 or more. So although the technique has great advantage to the patient, the cost is prohibitive down here. So any mesh that we can get is very valuable. Like this. Wait, I'm backwards. Yeah, I can't do it. I'm backwards. Yeah, see.
The only difference between sort of an American surgeon and a surgeon in Bolivia, it's not the talent, it's the equipment. We in America have a lot of expensive equipment that makes us much more efficient and sort of facile with what we do. What we've seen is as we've been able to sort of introduce some of these newer techniques down here, they pick them up and run, and it's really a good thing to see.
Estás hablando y cuáles son los casos. Es el doctor Tapia el que generó todo este problema. Cuando se le preguntó a él y se le indicó.
We're so grateful for the partnership of Puente de Solidaridad, and it really has been through them that we become increasingly sustainable in everything that we're doing. Our mission trips are very short term, they're usually 8 to 10 days, and it's through those teaching missions that the local Bolivian communities have new learnings and perhaps more materials and technology through which they can move out into their own communities.
Dr. Johnny Camacho had this idea he'd been working with us for a while, of how do we reach out to the more rural communities. And they came up with this idea, let's get a laparoscopic tower that we can break down, put in the back of a van, and take it, go on the road. Let's take this show on the road. Working together with Jose Choque, who is our amazing, almost engineer, knows how to put together all kinds of medical equipment. They put together what we call our mobile laparoscopic unit.
Es un tipo de cirugía que se beneficia mucho la gente de la área rural.
This type of surgery in particular is very helpful for people from rural areas.
Porque para ellos es muy difícil acceder a ese tipo de cirugía.
For them, it's very difficult to access this type of surgery.
Solo no nos podríamos hacer.
We couldn't do it alone.
Con la ayuda de Puente de Solidaridad, porque ellos son los que nos proveen, la verdad, de de material,
With the help of Solidarity Bridge, they're the ones who provide all the material,
la torre de la paroscopía,
the tower,
que probablemente a los lugares donde vamos en mucho tiempo no van a tener propio de ellos.
the places where we go to operate, it'll be a long time before they have that type of equipment.
Para que sea móvil, todo el mueble es desarmable. Nuestro equipo de laparoscópico móvil tiene un monitor, una cámara, un insuflador que trabaja con el gas carbónico. Usamos para inflar el abdomen y tener espacio para mover los instrumentos laparoscópicos. Gracias a este equipo, ya no necesitamos abrir heridas grandes en los pacientes. Cuando las personas tienen cirugías abiertas, los médicos cierran la herida, toda la herida, y muchas veces la persona necesita trabajar muy pronto y lamentablemente por el tiempo no cicatriza todo. Entonces cuando hace esfuerzo, cuando levanta peso, el abdomen se infla y empieza a crear hernias. Por esa razón es que esta es la mejor forma para evitar hernias. Este es nuestro hijo.
En la campaña lo que hacemos nosotros es un boliviano ayudando a otro boliviano.
Now, they have already done, close to 8-9 mobile campaigns. So they go to different hospitals, take everything they need, set it up, operate, do 15, 18, 20 surgeries in a week for patients who cannot make it into the city.
Es más o menos lo que hacen ustedes, vienen de Estados Unidos a Cochabamba, vamos de Cochabamba a provincias.
Surgery went very well. Carmen had actually 5 hernias that we were able to see and repair, all with one repair. So that's nice. Had she had an open procedure, at least one of those would have probably been missed, and then she would have been back here in 3 years thinking she had cancer again. She's cancer-free as far as everything that we could see.
I was pregnant.
Y a los 6 meses
In 6 months.
operar de emergencia.
There was an emergency operation.
Our founder, Juan Lorenzo Hinojosa, was born in Cochabamba, Bolivia. He spent most of his life in the US, and at about age 55, 57, he felt very clear in his heart that it was time to shift his life toward addressing the poverty he had seen in Bolivia. Very much of a visionary. He knew that something could happen if he started bit by bit pulling professionals together, and that is what he did.
Solidarity Bridge is the medium or the channel or the way that people's interests can be effectively and efficiently channeled to do good.
He was probably one of the first people that really I could see had a deep soul, had a deep energy, a spirituality about him. He was one of the first people who could sit down and talk to me about life and the meaning of life and the meaning of a mission.
Put back together again, but still has Chagas.
Entonces se hizo la restitución, pero todo.
First of all, everything went very well.
Fue muy bien.
We wanted to make sure there was no spread of the cancer.
Queríamos que no se esparce el cáncer. Thank you.
And it got me to better understand perhaps what was I trying to accomplish, okay? What was I trying to do with surgical skills that I was lucky enough to acquire over the decades of training. There is a geographic lottery that we all are in. When you come to Bolivia, you realize, you know what, these guys are just like we are, but the only thing is that geographically they were born in a different area.
Yo le operé, le hice la colostomía.
I did a colostomy.
There's no reason why we should have so many borders around our healthcare system.
Que tenía ese tumor.
So I felt some discomfort in my kidneys, but I didn't know that I had a tumor.
Luego allá me dijeron que ya tenía ese tumor grande.
They told me I had a large tumor.
Y después me han dicho que ellos no tenían equipos para operar.
But they told me that they didn't have equipment to do surgery.
Me han derivado aquí primero. Sí, aquí me han derivado.
They referred me here to this hospital.
Es que me siento sola. No
I
tengo
feel
a nadie
alone.
que me
I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody taking care of me.
Nadie le importa de mí, total, si puedo salir de aquí o no, para todos puede ser lo mismo.
Nobody cares if I come out of here or not. A nosotros sí nos importa. ¿Sí? You matter to us.
Tell her not to worry, we're going to give her excellent surgery.
No se preocupe, le vamos a dar una cirugía excelente.
Okay? And when she wakes up, we'll be telling her to breathe. Yeah, this whole thing is the tumor. This whole thing, yeah. It's huge, and it's pushing on the ureter. I think the ureter might be right there, caught up in it a little bit.
What's the prognosis of something like this?
If it's a GIST tumor and we take it out completely, prognosis is excellent. The cure rates are very high, 90+%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why they're favorable tumors to try to get at and try to do surgically if we can get at them. Get it? You want to handing it off? I think we'll take the bucket now. I'll come see the bucket. That's it.
Era un caso muy complicado de un tumor muy grande.
There's no spread. We looked at the liver. We looked all around the abdomen. We know where cancer hides, and we didn't see it hiding anywhere. These are type of cases where oftentimes she would go without an operation, and at 47 years old and an 8-year-old child, you can imagine how tragic that could be. She probably would not live for the rest of the year. The handshake is something that's a solidarity between us. We're in this together.
We work in solidarity, which conveys the very reality that we are one human family and we respect and approach our partners with every bit of respect and desire to know about them as we would want in return. We go to a place that we think we have something to offer, and we very intentionally open ourselves to what we might receive as well. We very much hunger for that.
Guadalupe was a patient who was having a lot of difficulty with her intestinal tract. She has Chagas disease. And so what we attempted to do and what we were able to do was take out that bad part of the colon that was not working properly, use the other parts of her intestine and reconnect her so that she was able to eat now better. And I suspect now that over the next month, 2 months, her nutrition is going to get a lot better and she's going to be able to get back to being a mother and a wife. Gracias.
Lleguemos al Señor. Padre nuestro, mientras te agradecemos el don de la fe. Padre nuestro, que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino.
Primero agradecer a Dios
First, I want to thank God
por haber traído estos profesionales que nos traemos,
for having brought these very good professionals,
al igual que nuestros profesionales.
as well as our own professionals.
Y primeramente agradecer a Dios y a nuestros profesionales.
There are many things that people say about the United States, but please be assured
Pero queremos que sepamos, que sepan
that there are many people in the United States who feel a kindred spirit with people in Bolivia.
Acknowledging my oneself as one participant in a myriad of people coming together to enhance the quality of life brings me more intimately to the person or persons I'm working with.
Yo creo ya con esta operación ya que me he hecho, con esto ya voy a estar mejor y voy a poder trabajar también yo.
You're happy she's home too, aren't you? Tú eres contenta también de que ha vuelto.
Estoy conforme porque no puedo descontentarme. Quiero seguir saliendo adelante.
Another element of our name is very central to our work as well. Bridging people fundamentally to their own heart is powerful. What draws people to mission is their inner life. Something in them is drawing them to a desire to serve. Being connected to each other and being enriched by each other and doing that work in a spirit of mutuality is not only a mission for Solidarity Bridge, but I think should be a mission for the world.
Scroll down. So that really is a summary of our general surgery program that was produced around the 10-year mark when our general surgery program had been going for about a decade. In the years since the filming, the mobile surgery campaigns that were introduced there have progressively increased both in number and in geographical reach. They are now being run out of both of our Solidarity Bridge, of our Puente de Solidaridad offices in Cochabamba and in Santa Cruz. And more Bolivian doctors involved in leading the campaigns. And since that same year, since 2017, the mobile campaigns, which are 100% organized and carried out by Puente de Solidaridad, they are a completely autonomous Bolivian organization, our sister organization, as we call them. They run these mobile campaigns along with our medical allies in Bolivia. Since then, they now account for the majority of the surgeries performed on our general surgery program. We no longer do mission trips focused on gallbladders and hernias. Those are now all surgeries that are done by our Bolivian partners, primarily through these mobile campaigns. Next slide. And so around the year 2019, the mobile campaigns had started in late 2014. So we were about 5 years into the mobile campaigns. And as I said, by then they were accounting for the majority of our surgeries. And we decided it would be a good time to document and to study these campaigns, and hopefully to disseminate and to publish about them. We think they're a very remarkable model that could be replicated. And so our board member of Solidarity Bridge, Dr. Richard Moser, who many of you know, he invited Vanya Sponar, as she is a medical student at the University of Massachusetts. She's an MD candidate for 2023. She's working hard on finishing those studies. So she took on leading a research project on the mobile campaigns. And we're also very grateful, a group of general surgery fellows, and you all met them in a previous presentation, Dr. Erica Ludi, Dr. Constance Schreckengost, and Dr. Alexandra Reitz, who are global surgery fellows from Emory University, who all spent some time in Bolivia. They have really been supporters of and kind of guides for Vanya as she puts together this research. And all of the data that went into the research and a lot of the qualitative content, a lot of the analysis that's presented in the study was all contributed by Puente de Solidaridad and by the Bolivian doctors who lead the campaigns. So our social workers, our partner social workers in Bolivia who are based at Puente de Solidaridad, since our beginnings more than 20 years ago, they document every single surgery. And this has been a wonderful opportunity for all of this wealth of information that we have on our surgeries to be analyzed. So this research, which is a summary of the mobile laparoscopic surgery campaigns led by Puente de Solidaridad in Bolivia. This study is now in the final phase of translation and final review. Because there are so many people involved in here and especially in Bolivia, we're giving ourselves a little time for everyone to read through it, all the contributors. And so we've given ourselves 2 months. On Tuesday, September 6th, there will be the second part of this presentation. So please mark your calendars to join us here, same time, same place. And our plan is to pull together a panel of the US researchers as well as our Bolivian partners from nonprofit organizations involved, from academic groups, and the doctors involved to present and discuss the results of this study, which compiles all the data from the first 5 years of the mobile campaigns. And of course, since even 2019, when was the data cutoff for this research, we are really reaping the fruits of having established this mobile surgery option. As you can imagine, during the pandemic, we did not do any mission trips. In normal times, we would do 5, 6, 7 mission trips a year through which we helped provide training and support. But when we were not able to travel, the mobile campaigns have continued on. Instead of carrying supplies ourselves, we found new ways to ship them, and the work continued. So in our presentation on September 6th, we also are going to share a short documentary, much shorter than this one, just about 5 minutes. And that documentary, which was produced by a Bolivian team, again, because it was late 2021, and it followed one of these mobile surgery campaigns to one town, to the town of El Torno, outside of Santa Cruz, and showed what they were able to do amid the pandemic. So please be sure to join us on the 6th. And then we're going to get into some opportunity for Q&A. But I just wanted to close with a quote by the late former president of Mozambique, who just wanted to share this quote. And this was actually a couple decades ago that he said this, and it's not, it's just as true and much truer today. Solidarity is not an act of charity, but mutual aid between forces fighting for the same objective. So thank you to all who've inspired our work. And with that, I just wanted to open up if there were any questions or comments. You can go ahead and unmute yourselves if you'd like.
Sam Waterson is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for the last 15 years.
Who's a good friend of yours?
Sam Waterson.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
And I've suggested before he getting his help through the G4 Alliance. Right now, he's part of it, so we should pull him in as an advocate for the G4. I discussed with him about 5 years ago. So he might be more supportive of the G4. Now you're part of it. Dan, we talked to him about that. I know him very well.
That would be terrific. I think he did a great job with that video. So maybe we could get him involved in more videos with us. He was great.
Jody, congratulations. It's funny, we've gotten to know each other through G4 Alliance over the years, and yet to see you in the middle of the work, it's so meaningful. There are, I don't know, you might notice there were a few Ruben Ayalas on the. I promise I didn't clone myself. That would be terrible. I do have a few members of the team who joined with the link that I shared, and because some of them are from Bolivia and Paraguay. I guess my question would be to you, as you've done this work with your partners in Bolivia and in Solidarity, in the spirit of Solidarity, how do you see the potential of dialogue opportunities by expanding the principle of solidarity via dialogue or engagement or coordination with other members of the global solidarity community who are following day-to-day work, pursuing goals with similar ideals and values?
So what exactly is your?
I guess the question would be, what would you like to see if we were to connect, if we were to have Puente Solidaridad with Operación Sonrisa Paraguay and Operación Sonrisa Bolivia, or Physicians for Peace, Médicos por la Paz, and like all together talking in Bolivia or in Paraguay, what are some of the things you would love to pursue?
Absolutely. So Puente de Solidaridad is a Bolivian organization. So they're not, our work in Paraguay is with other partners and not quite through the same model. But we couldn't be doing what we're doing without Puente as our solid partner. We can't work without them in Bolivia, and they depend a lot on us. So it is truly a mutual collaboration. And they in turn connect us to so many other partners. And I know that our executive director, I don't think she could be on today. She was just getting back from traveling, but she definitely will be with us on the 6th of September. They are always working with so many partners in Bolivia. Governmental, other nonprofits, church organizations, different hospitals. They are always, a big part of what they do is developing signed agreements with other organizations. Every time we go and work at a hospital, there's a signed agreement of everybody's roles. And they're always doing more and more and more every day. And I know that they do know some of the Operation Smile colleagues, especially in Santa Cruz. I know they've mentioned that they're working with us. We try to work where there's a need that is not being met. So Solidarity Bridge actually, a decade and a half ago, was looking into, should we be doing cleft work? But there's a lot of good organizations like yours working in cleft palate. For example, So we're trying to always find where is the need that we can specifically fill, and that's how we ended up focusing on surgery, because that was where our partners identified. Bolivia actually has quite solid. There's a lot of investment in primary care, a lot of investment in maternal and children up to age 5 have decent insurance coverage for the basics, the well child care. But those programs don't cover, for example, surgery for congenital heart defects or other types of birth defects. They don't cover cancer care. So we're always trying to find where are we most needed. But always, anyone should look for us. And again, we have offices, Puente has offices in Cochabamba and in Santa Cruz.
Hello, Jody. I am Maria Fernanda. I am from Bolivia.
Hola,
Currently-
Maria Fernanda.
Hola. It's exciting to see this video and to see this documentary of everything that Solidarity Bridge and Puente have been doing here. It's shocking to me that I, coming from La Paz and having done medicine here, didn't know about the organization working with surgery in a city so close to mine. But it's an amazing job that you've all been doing. And I wanted to ask if you're looking for the next 5 years on expanding and going to other cities maybe, or going further into training, or maybe investing and leaving some of those equipments at rural areas.
So all great questions. So we've been doing a lot of expanding into Sucre. And we do have a lot of Bolivian partners who also work in La Paz in some of our programs. And the mobile units and our local partners are taking services throughout the country, especially right now, supply distribution. And this includes, after they've done a few mobile campaigns to a small municipal hospital, for example. Most of these go to the second tier hospitals, which are municipal hospitals in the towns that might have 2 ORs, for example. And they'll generally have, a surgeon and the basics, but they're unable to do laparoscopy because they're missing the laparoscopic tower. Maybe they're missing a well-working anesthesia tower. They're missing some of the instruments. So if the mobile campaigns do 2 or 3 or 4 visits to one of these sites, and the local team has picked up the techniques, and everyone decides that they're ready to be doing laparoscopic surgeries on their own, Puente will do its best to donate a tower. So that is one thing that is addressed in the research. Up until 2019, I think there were 2 hospitals that they had stopped doing visits to because they were able to outfit them with their own equipment. Since then, I think there are more. But also, we can't provide all the equipment. A lot of times after these mobile campaigns, those smaller hospitals are able to work with the local government. The municipal hospitals are run through the local government, and a lot of times they're able to lobby and to get them to invest in their infrastructure, including the laparoscopic capacities. So yes, the goal is that more and more hospitals have this capacity, the equipment, the training, and then the supplies. There's certain supplies that they'll need constant replenishing, but more and more of the municipal governments are stepping in to do that.
Jody, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation and for sharing with us the wonderful work that your organization is doing in Bolivia. When you refer to partners, like local partners, those local partners are surgeons or doctors, are hospitals and clinics, all of the above. And how is your relationship with the Ministry of Health? Do you need to have one just to conduct all this work?
Very good questions. Yeah, sometimes we're a little loose with the term partner. So a lot of they're all of the above. Several of the surgeons, the Bolivian surgeons who you saw in the documentary, Johnny Camacho, Jaime Vallejos especially, and then there are 3 or 4 more who were not featured here, are general surgeons who we've been working with for 5-10 years. Many of them had not been doing laparoscopy when they started with us, but they're all doing all this work on their own now. They are the ones who lead the rural campaigns. So they are the lead surgeons. So they volunteer their time to lead these campaigns. So when I say campaign, it's generally a 5 to 8 day visit. So they load up the van, they load up the laparoscopic tower, all the instruments, all the supplies. They go to one of these smaller municipal hospitals that has the basic capacity and that can pre-select and care for the patients afterwards. So they go, they perform the surgeries. The average right now is about 15 surgeries per campaign, and they're primarily gallbladder and hernia surgeries. Sometimes there'll be, there may be a gynae tumor removal, there might be a colon surgery on a few, but they're mainly gallbladders and hernias. So those are the surgical partners. And then we also have partner anesthesiologists who accompany the campaigns. If the local hospital doesn't have an anesthesiologist who is capable of doing anesthesia for laparoscopy, because it does require some advanced skills. And then they receive a small stipend for that work. They're sacrificing much better paying private clients that they could be doing in the same time. So they get a very small stipend that Puente pays to them. And then we have our partner hospitals. So before they do a rural, one of these mobile campaigns to any site, Puente goes and visits their staff, their social worker, their equipment supplies people. They go and visit if it's a new hospital. They look at what equipment they have. They meet with the leadership at that hospital, and they come to certain agreements about this is what we can bring and provide. This is what we'll need you to provide. As I mentioned, the host hospital, they're their patients. They're not Puente's patients. They're never Solidarity Bridge's patients, even when we're going on a mission trip. Any patients, when we call them our patients, they're the local hospital patients. So the host hospital helps to identify the patients in need. Our social workers do their end. They visit their homes. They make sure that they qualify financially. And they are responsible for accompanying the mission surgeries. They're first assist in the OR generally, and that's how they learn the skills. And then they are responsible for the post-op care. So that's, and there's always, it's a signed agreement. Everybody gets something out of it. And then working with the health ministry, that is a big part of the time of Puente de Solidaridad, their staff. So every department, Bolivia is divided into 9 departments. Like we have states, they have departments. Each department has its department-wide health ministry that runs healthcare, runs the public healthcare system in that department. And even though they're all overseen at the national level, they vary a little bit, department to department. So in every single case, Puente has to work with them. Everything goes through them. When we do a mission trip, when we are taking US professionals, all of our credentials, everything has to go through that department level health ministry for approval to work in the country. So we have to maintain very good relationships with them. And it's a juggle because they are connected to the local government and they're not always the same party. So we have to always keep very clear that we're not politically aligned, that it's always a balance. but we are all working towards the same goal, increasing access to surgery. So we're coming on 5 o'clock. Does anyone have any more questions? You can also always, everyone knows where to find me at Solidarity Bridge.
I have maybe, this might be a long question or a quick question, but you talked about the sort of adaptations. I know that like equipment supplies is a big part of your model, helping to sort of close some of those gaps. And there's a lot of adaptation that need to happen during the pandemic when you weren't able to physically bring the supplies. I was wondering if you would talk a little bit more about that, maybe just briefly before we close.
Yeah, so historically, we most of our supplies are carried by hand in our suitcases. It's just a big part of what we do. When we take a team, everybody takes the 49.9 pound suitcase, and we have to get all the clearance for that through customs, and it's a hassle, but that's how we do it. But we've always sent, historically, about once every 2 years, we would send a 40-foot shipping container. And that would be mostly the really big equipment or the bulk supplies. But then with the pandemic, I kind of lost count, but we went from sending 1 every 2 years to sending 2 a year to Bolivia. And then we also sent 2 or 3 containers to Paraguay. And we've also negotiated with other donors to send some supplies. AmeriCares is now a big donor, is right now en route a container directly from them. And then during the worst part of the pandemic, we did 1 air freight shipment when they just really needed to get, what are they called? Some of the ventilator parts and some really critical equipment that we just didn't want to wait the 2 months that minimum a container takes. So we did send 1 air freight. So that's basically how we do it.
Oh, that's great. And it sounds like also part of what's happening is once you are building up the capacity in areas that really just didn't have access to certain surgeries, then it starts to kind of create demand where then the government will be interested in paying for some of these things that they wouldn't have been interested in before.
Yes, and we're hearing more and more from the Bolivian doctors and the Bolivian hospital partners that they've been able to lobby with the local government, that a few years ago they wouldn't pay for the laparoscopic instruments. And now they do, because they've seen the benefits. Patients, instead of needing to be in the hospital 5 days, only need to be there overnight. So even though there's that investment up front, there's a lot of benefits. They don't come back a year later with the incisional hernias. They don't have the infections. So it's really encouraging the local health ministry to put up the money to help sustain. Because, I mean, we can't supply things forever, and we shouldn't. And there's also a sort of part of the Solidarity Bridge. There's a whole family of organizations that are within our family of organizations, and one of them is called Solidarity Medical Equipping. It's kind of the newest organization. It's not Solidarity Bridge or Puente, it's another one, but it's related to us. And their focus is importing certain instruments that we just can't get donated. They've been able to find some, especially for the neurosurgery program, they've been able to find some instruments produced in India that have been acceptable within the Bolivian market, but that nobody was importing. So they've actually started to import, and then it's a nonprofit organization. I mean, even though they sell, it's to make sustainable, to do certain types of surgery that otherwise you just can't do because you don't have the equipment. So we're always looking for new creative ways to sustainably equip and supply our partners.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Hi everybody. I'm Sylvia from Paraguay.
It's a wonderful, wonderful job that you have done already. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a question. First of all, here in Paraguay, we are always trying to help. So if you are going to come, welcome. Always welcome. We can help you a lot. And I need to know if I get in the meeting a little late, so I don't know if you already talked about this, but you work with a scale, or you work with patients who came during the year, or you already have an objective in a year. You already have a schedule from patients who need for this help, or you are going to work with this patient during their appearing in this month or the next month. I don't know if you understand my question.
So our sister organization and this is Bolivia, so it's a little different in Paraguay. In Bolivia, Puente de Solidaridad, which is our completely separate but sister organization, they're working around the year. Patients who need care go to them. They are referred to them by doctors who know that they need surgery and know that the patient can't afford surgery. So they go to Puente de Solidaridad, and Puente connects them with Bolivian surgeries who can provide their surgery. So,
okay.
As far as
I have another question with that. So you don't have any idea how much patient you are going to work in a year, right?
So directly, our programs directly provide about, it's been an average around 400 surgeries a year. That's across all of our programs. Those are the ones directly performed through our partners. There are many more that are performed that we don't know about because of the equipment we've supplied. But I just want to clarify, some particularly complex cases, maybe if it's a pathology or a technique that the Bolivian surgeons want to learn or to address, sometimes they will hold a patient until a mission trip can be organized to address. So for example, our general surgery program, I mentioned that we don't do mission trips anymore focused on hernias and gallbladders. Our focus has very much shifted, especially to oncology. So we're working at 2 public cancer hospitals, one in Santa Cruz and one in Sucre. There's only 2 public cancer hospitals in the country, and we do mission trips at both of them to work alongside their oncological surgeons. And they sometimes they will have a case that they don't feel prepared to operate. So that's one case where they may kind of hold a case until we can get there. But otherwise, our goal is always to do what we can to make sure that the local doctors, that the patients don't have to wait.
That's great, because it's not easy to manage. If you have a goal, you can run for a budget, you can know how much you're going to spend in that mission. But if you are not sure how many people are going to be there, it's not easy. So that's you answered my question. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Congratulations again.
What is so you're in Paraguay, what is your specialty?
Yeah, I am the executive director from Operations Mal Paraguay.
Okay.
So it's very interesting your job, and we are very similar in some things. And that's why if you need any help or contact here, I'm always here to help too.
Wonderful. In Paraguay, we're mostly working at the Hospital de Itagua.
No, actually, we have a center, our own center. We are very proud of that. But we used to work with a military hospital when we need to do more goals than usual, than we used to work in our center, because it's a small center, but we can get work even in the pandemic. We're still working with our patients in our center, but when we have a big mission, we are going to do it in a military hospital. It's not the Itagua is the national hospital, but we don't work with them. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're a little past the hour. If anyone had any other questions, otherwise, you know where to find us. So thank you, Bibi. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Natalie. Were there any other hands up?
Thank you, Jody. That was wonderful.
Great
video.
Yes, I cannot wait for September.
We look forward to hearing more.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. This was
Congratulations,
just a
team.
teaser. Thank you.
Good luck.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for sharing. Bravo.
Thank you, everyone. Take
Gracias.
care. Cuídense mucho.
Tú también. Chao.
Chao, chao.